What's going on, folks? How's everyone doing? I don't know. I went like really crappy, UK voice last time. I don't know where this one went. So.
Oh, you know what the best part is? I was muted, so nobody heard me do it. That's great. So I get to kind of do it all over again. It's not about the money, money, money. We don't need no money, money, money. And we'll leave it at that. But yes, I was pointing out everybody, so everybody got introduced. My voice doesn't matter in the slightest. Tuesday podcast, yay, Campfire, woot, done. And obviously our guest from Ladies of the Round Table. It is Pixxy.
Hi.
Can you do me a favor, Pixxy?
Mm-hmm.
Lower yourself a little bit more so people can see what you're wearing. Check that. Bunny ears. I mean, I have, and they're wrapped, I've put lanyards around this because I was going to hang it up, but if need be, I could always do this.
Yes! Do it! Do it!
They don't show up on camera, so it's kind of hard to, sadly.
Oh.
If we're doing this, we have to get Aiko's hat back on.
Oh, you know, that pimpy fedora thing.
The pinky.
Screw it.
God,
Screw
that
it.
was horrendous.
We're doing hats today.
Let's do this! Yay!
And now I feel like the weirdo in the room. Anyway.
You were already that before. Hats or not.
Flopzilla is here. There we go. So, Screen, apparently you need to do something. Do you have anything you could wear on your head? Anything at all?
Do they have hats in Scotland?
Do we have...
If you have Batman underwear, I will accept that.
Oh, wait.
Something's being acquired.
Gonna plead the fifth. How did you know? That's really... How did you know? And they've got a cape on the back, too. That's the best part.
Oh.
I didn't even have to get up.
These are my house shoes. They're Wonder Waifu house shoes. Yes.
That's awesome.
Oh,
This has started off phenomenally.
Oh, what a fantastic start. Hi, everybody. Yes, welcome to the Campfire. Before we get into our topic, which is literally about money in the community, we are going to do what we do to all of our guests, which is basically put them on the campfire to be roasted. So, are we ready to roast?
Yes.
Are you ready to be roasted? You're ready to be roasted. All right, my dear, let's do this. So let's start off with an easy one. Tell us 2 truths and 1 lie about yourself. You will never tell anybody what the lie is, so we'll take time and speculate afterwards, but it's on you.
All right, so I am an Infinite Crisis community streamer. I have a child, and I drive a Honda Fit because it's little and I'm like 5'1.5".
Okay. So, Screen, what do you think's a lie?
The Honda Fit.
You think the Honda is a lie?
I think the Honda is a lie. Yes.
Blank?
Unicycle.
I'm going to say the kid because there's a lot of stuff on a low shelf back there that I know looks way too organized. I don't know. I'm gonna roll the dice and go for that one.
You're assuming that she means a human child. And
that's right. That's right. Could have a doggy child or a kitty child or a bear cub child. My bad. Then I'm probably going to have to go for the car one. I guess it's the next best option.
Whereas I'm just going to have to say, I really don't know. I hope you're a Crisis streamer, because that would be cool. There you go. Yay. Okay, so that one's an easy question. Although, interestingly enough, a lot of our guests have a really hard time with that one because they're all like, but I don't know how to lie. It's really funny. It's kind of great.
I play a lot of Mafia online, so...
Oh, what level did you get to?
Oh, I mean, I'm talking about, like, the party game.
Oh.
Where, like, you literally lie to people and you try to, like, kill everyone else. It's awesome.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, well,
So
next question for you. So, with hindsight being 2020, can you tell us about a decision that you've made involving your guilds, your communities, anything that you've been involved in, where you thought it was a really good idea at the time, but now that you look back with all this experience under your belt, you're kind of sitting there going, I should have done something different?
Some of the meet and greets that I've come up with for different groups and different gaming communities have been really unsuccessful, and a lot of it is a lot of gamers aren't known for being the most social of creatures. And so, unfortunately, as somebody who also has social anxiety, like putting myself into a situation where I have to go out into public and communicate with all of these different people can be really stressful and traumatic. And if it's traumatic for me, I should have thought about how it could be traumatic for other people with the same issues.
See, that's interesting, and I'll explain. Well, no, we'll do it now because it's all part of the thing. Anyone who has social issues can understand the difficulty it is, regardless of what the social issue may be, or social anxiety, I should say, may be. But I would like to posit, yay, using big words today, I'd like to posit that getting a group of people together who have some kind of social anxiety, especially if they have a real strong common ground to begin with, can actually help. It can help. And I think, it may have been a failure, but I guess the question would be, what would you do differently now? Would you just not do it, or would you change the way you did it?
I would change the format more than I would not do it, because I think the format is what really was the issue, and it was more of an open forum, and it wasn't necessarily something where it was running around and interacting one-on-one. It was more of like a Socratic seminar than it was just hanging out and having conversations.
Well, we live, we learn, we play games.
Exactly.
And then our final question for you. What event that has given you the greatest sense of accomplishment occurred in your guilds or communities? Totally mixing up that question. But yeah.
So something that I've achieved personally is I am actually an Infinite Crisis community streamer. And
she's revealed something!
And achieving that was a really big deal for me because I worked very hard for it. I started in the open beta, and I busted my bum streaming and networking with people and making friends and upholding the standards in the community that I felt like other people should adhere to.
Well, there you go. So we have now done this, and now I'm going to take a quick moment and just let you really introduce yourself to people. Tell them a little bit about you, and try not to reveal any more of your lies or truths if possible.
Well, unfortunately, that one was kind of something I had to talk about.
Right.
So I am a co-host for Lort Nation. I also work with a group known as Rise Up Gaming, doing a lot of charity streams and charity marathons. And I'm also a professional Infinite Crisis player. I do play it competitively and have competed in multiple MLG events. I'm kind of a MOBA baby. I love MOBAs, from League to Smite to Infinite Crisis to Dota. So that's really where a lot of my gaming knowledge comes from.
eSports! Yay! We'll be getting into that at some point in time within this. However, what I want to do is remind everybody present who is watching, besides the fact that we absolutely hearts and loves you for paying attention to us, take some time. If you have comments that you want us to know, if you have questions you want us to answer, can you please preface them with a Q and a colon? Okay, thanks. Right. Are you ready for the main event? Before we begin, Blankspace, could you do me a favor and tell me the name of one song with the word money in it? And if possible, sing it.
No, I don't have a song with money in it. Nope, I can't sing that one either. Nope, you're you would be bleeping things out. So
I think essentially what you're doing is you're asking one of us to not take an opportunity to cuss.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got 99 problems, but a bleep ain't one was along those lines. But more money, more problems was the next one.
Right. So in that particular case, we won't take that route, and we'll actually just, hey, it's worth a shot. You never know.
Can't throw me on the spot. I'm like, oh, I gotta get.
See, I am completely surprised that none of you came up with. Well, I didn't give everyone a chance. Screen, can you come up with something just on the spot that you could possibly get away with?
there's a reason why I play drums, and it's not because I can sing.
Well, we have a hard time understanding you anyway, so we might get misheard
Exactly.
lyrics from you. What about you, Pixxy? Can you think of a song that has money in the title that is not something that'll get you bleeped?
Well, I mean, I can think of things that have money in them, and I can bleep myself, because that's what I do a lot, actually. I censor myself. It's a really weird habit.
No, actually, it's not a
I
bad habit at all.
Bleep myself out.
Well,
Nope,
see,
not
here's
gonna
where I
happen.
sit back and I go, I'm surprised none of you came up with ABBA Money, Money, Money. A really easy title, no cursing. Dirty-minded individuals. All right, so let's move right into the real meat of our show, which is where we talk in the survival guide. And we are literally talking about money in the community. Now, there are a couple of ways that we could take this. We could spend the entire time just talking about what it's like when a game implements some kind of arena where people get paid money, which is something that eSports is really big into. We could spend time talking about, well, to have a certain type of community, you need to pay to join in. So that's something we could touch as well. But there's also the other side of things, which is a community going, hey, can you guys help us pay for the web server or for the TeamSpeak server? Or what about the communities that are involved in pay to win games? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Pixxy pick what we're going to discuss first. So pick a topic and give us a little of your own ideas behind why you think this should be something we bring up in an episode about communities and money.
So let's talk a little bit about the esports scene. As far as esports goes, hey, I'm in esports. What do you expect? As far as the esports scene goes, when you add money into a game, it does create a lot of competition, and a lot of that competition is unhealthy. The problem is when that competition does become unhealthy, and you have people who become really BM towards one another. You have people who start to come into the community with the understanding that they want to become professional, and they start off at a level where their toxicity is a little higher than normal because they're so competitive with things. And as gamers, we're all competitive. We all want to win. Nobody likes losing. It stinks. Like, it's never fun. You know, you die in a game and you're like, oh, and then you kind of want to throw your controller at the wall, and may actually have done that and broken a few. But that's beside the point. Like, it's all about finding ways to mitigate and to keep the ego in check so that money doesn't become an issue with the community.
Well, see, I'm going to throw out to you a concept based on that. I mean, one of the things that gets brought up a lot on the Campfire here is that the community is built around games that have a heavy leaning towards esports tends to be incredibly toxic towards each other. And it might be the fact that it is almost this pure competitive spirit to it. However, what about the fact that there's some people who feel that esports are an unfair thing anyway because there's win trading?
Oh my god.
I actually brought that up.
Oh,
Can we go? No. We need to go back one step first.
I like
because
this. I like this. I
you-
get to
you
sit
know,
back.
I need to reel things back. First of all, Pixxy, in your opinion, professional. I have definitions mean a lot to me. I've been a competitive, and I'm now considered myself an ex-professional, even though I'm sponsored. My stuff goes towards nonprofit instead of myself.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, professional means what? Sponsors that take care of yourself? Does it mean playing at that specific level? Is it the mix of all of those? Because there are some people that would say, oh, I'm sponsored by dingdongs.com. I'm a pro gamer. And I'm like, dog, no, you're not. Like that's not what I would consider a professional gamer. So in your opinion, how would you define professional?
So for me, it's a couple of things. I think, first of all, you have to have competed in an MLG event at any point in time, and you have to have the pro points. That's my personal belief. Feel free to disagree. Feel free to come at me with any kind of input. I also think that I think that the way that you represent your community is important to be a professional gamer, and I think that that's something that people should remember as professional gamers. I think that you have to have a high skill level and play at a professional level. And I also think that sponsorships can be used to help qualify, but I don't think that they're 100% necessary. Because there's a difference between being a professional player and a competitive player and being a professional gamer. one to me encompasses the whole of gaming. The
Mhm.
other to me encompasses like a specific facet of gaming.
Okay. Now, we're going to go down history lane. Do you know where MLG began before it was MLG? Because the reason I gave you the thumbs down was there were several organizations that started before MLG that had rankings, and MLG is not what I would consider just the end-all. There are folks who are what I would consider a professional gamer within their RTS or MOBA or MMO who are not ranked on an eSports level. However, they are not only being sponsored but flown across the world. They do community events and things like that. So that's why I kind of gave you the thumbs down on that one, because you can rank in the world for gear and gear score and for things, for bosses being put down in progression in MMO, and your organization is sponsored. You were not officially sponsored, but I would still consider that a professional level.
No,
because the organization.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. My qualification with like MLG is I'm not saying that MLG is the only place where you would be ranked, but I do believe that a ranking system like that does and is necessary for helping to qualify who is what. Does that make sense? I would probably say the same thing about the ESL if I were in EU.
Gotcha. Okay, so as long as there is a, would you say, a ruling group who is somehow keeping track of or ranking folks, and as long as it's somebody who is accredited or respected, then you would give that the thumbs up, because I would then agree.
Absolutely.
Okay, then we are absolutely on the same page, because there was back in the day when I was playing first-person shooters, and we're talking 15 years ago or so.
Blank shows his age.
There were organizations
Back
that
in the day when you had to hand crank the PC.
Dude, I'm online. No, you can't call anybody right now.
Oh,
I got.
The worst one was getting a fax. You'd be sitting there. Oh gosh, but yes, that's way old school.
But there were the initial roots, and I'm not remembering the organization. Oh, I am. Awesome. Cal. It started with Cal Leagues back in the day, and those have now morphed into what are all of these first-person shooter and MOBA eSports qualifications, if you will. But back a long time ago, it was, we don't know what to call this, so we're just going to put you guys in here. And it was actually much higher. I actually liked that the skill level was, not only the skill cap was so high, but you had to actually prove that you weren't, you had to send in your replays back in the day. Now it's not as regulated, which is interesting. But I digress. We could talk about dollar bills now. I just wanted to make sure that professional was something we talked about, because some people,
this is a good
around
point.
here definition, people will say, I've heard it, like, well, Blankspace, what does professional mean to you? And I'm like, it means this. It means being, taken care of by a sponsor. It means, playing a website that's respected and known, or at least is verified for looking at all the variables for a world first, or a server first, whatever, has then said your organization, whoever you're a part of, has made this ranking in the world or in America or whatever, and that to me, I'd consider. And then there's some folks who just say, if you get paid, that's professional. You're making money to play video games, and I'm like,
Well, and like I said, there's a difference between being a professional gamer and being a professional player.
Right. I absolutely would agree.
Definitions are important. So, money. I let you guys go with that, mainly because I think you're right. It is incredibly important for us to have definitions.
Pseudo, if you let them go on any further, Blank would have taken us back to when Noah cranked up the first PC.
I don't think it would be that bad, Screen. I think, well, let's just say I enjoyed the history lesson. Yay for histories.
Tangent, he would have built his own bypass on that story.
All right, so let's go back a little bit and let's talk about, let's just pick one. Let's talk about what it's like for communities in esports, because this seems to be the big thing we've just defined. We should stick with it. When it comes to esports and money gets involved, do you think that there are ways? It's not so much. See, the problem I have with trying to phrase this question is I kind of just want to go, why do so many communities around esports seems so toxic. Why? You know, it's not always about the money, but maybe it is. And I just kind
Always about the money.
I don't know. There are toxic communities in places that have no money involved at all. So, you know, one could very easily argue it's not about the money, but it just seems that when it comes to esports communities, it makes a difference whether you're first-person shooters or whether you are dealing with MOBAs, which tend to be the big ones. And now we're starting to get into CCGs online or CGs online because it's not always, you know, collectible. Sometimes it's trading, sometimes it's strategy, sometimes it's a mixture. But anyway, so, you know, it makes no difference. But it just seems that those communities that are involving heavy in esports, you know, the ones that get broadcast, and you have the people who go, hey, and coming up on this, and will you look at that? He's pressed the button 6,000 times in 1 minute. Oh my gosh. And, you know, when you have all this kind of commentation and stuff like that, all of a sudden it just seems like all of the communities is toxic. That's from an outsider's point of view, and I admit that. So what I'm going to look to do is have you guys basically either set me right or give an example of things that you think might have an impact. And Screen, are you an esporter or are you like me? Are you sort of sitting on the sideline just going, wow, this just feels like I'm being covered in ooze?
I'm not an esporter. I don't have the time or the money. No, I don't have the time to do esports with everything else. And I don't have a history of playing esports. My history started back when I got back into MMOs, so I've not played that. But it does strike me that money is not the only thing that can cause players to act in a less than favourable fashion within communities. There's some aspects of esports communities that have got to pull from similar ideas of the way that people socially interact with each other in different types of gaming communities. So you get so esports aren't just like League of Legends or just Call of Duty or just Infinite Crisis. You've got different games, different game types. Now, obviously, common factors are going to be that there's money and therefore pressure. People are going into it for the money, but intrinsically, esports all have they don't have a collaborative game type the same way that, say, you or I look at MMOs. So in terms of your dynamics of your actual game that you're playing as well, to some extent, not only are team size is smaller, group size is going to be smaller anyway. Some of these games are going to have very individualistic points of view and very individualistic goals. So therefore, things like solo queue are going to bring out. I mean, this is something I'd have to ask Blank and Pixxy, but I imagine something like solo queue would bring out a more toxic environment than team queued games. But that's probably something you guys would have to answer.
And before you answer that, have you had a chance to see what MMOBuff.TV just linked in the chat? Take a moment and look at that, because that just makes me smile, because he's so right. So with that in mind, let's put Blank on the spot first, and then we'll come to you, Pixxy. So we'll let Blank get a little bit of a say, at least. Well, because you bridge both worlds. At least you have.
When it comes to toxicity and money, I've said this before. Money is the object that people desire, but it is the amount of time and effort and how much that's worth to somebody that you're getting paid for. And I want to make that really apparent. You can work for somebody for 5 hours, and it's worth X amount of money. For these people that are, let's find somebody for example here. Guardsman Bob is a streamer, and I'm not sure if he played professionally, but he has a wonderful community. I would love to see him working with one of those EU teams as a community manager for the teams. This is the next evolution that they should be working towards. Teams like Curse. I've met these guys. They're nice guys. They're young as heck, and they sure are still trying to figure the world out and whatnot. But they've been thrown into something crazy that's evolving in front of them. What I expect to see, I don't want to talk too much about the past on this one, I think. What I hope to see is that these companies say, these people have fans. Not only are they fans, but they're a community, and they should be fostered. They should be taken care of. Because I know there's a lot of people that are like, team curse, team blah, blah, blah. And if you don't foster and nurture them, they're just running around with their heads cut off, with no direction, with no, support. And a lot very early on, and I'm going to say this, the reason that the team was not the focus was because these folks were also streaming. They were trying to make more money to continue to be able to do what they were doing early on because there was no money. Now they've got money. Now they've got that corporate backing. I mean, they're going to the Staples Center, in LA and renting it out. Like, this is a big deal. So at this time, I'd love to see, that sort of a change make. Because right now, it's really not where it's at. You got a lot of people that are fans, but if you don't have a real life stadium to go to, you're literally hanging out in someone's stream chat, and it should be more than just one person when it's a whole team. Just my opinion.
Okay, so what about you, Pixxy? What do you want to add and mix up with that, and who do you want to tickle, and anyone you want to put under a bus?
So I actually think that there are a lot of contributing factors when it comes to toxicity in communities. I actually think a very large factor is the developers.
Interesting.
I've played multiple MOBAs. There was a specific MOBA that I'm not going to name that I played, and the developer, I got in one of the games with the developer. It was like my second game playing. I had no idea what the items were. I was like taking my time trying to really figure out the game mechanics, and he raged at me incredibly hard, was horribly toxic. If that's the kind of example you're going to set forth for your community as a developer, why would anyone else try to set a good example?
That's
the one
horrid.
thing. It's horrible. That's the one thing that I really love about Infinite Crisis. Shout out to Infinite Crisis. I'm going to do this like the entire show. I'm sorry. The developers for Infinite Crisis have been really amazing, and they've really tried to foster a good sense of community by bringing in multiple streamers, not just myself, but other streamers who do play Infinite Crisis a lot, who do stream constantly, from professional levels to I just play this game all the time because I love it. And our big job is to make people feel comfortable and to make them want to play the game and to be positive and to be the driving force behind the community that keeps it from becoming toxic. And especially with the game right now, it's in its infancy. It's just open beta. It's very small community. We all know one another. When people are mean and it's someone we don't know and they're mean to someone we know, stuff gets straightened out. And yes, some of the problem is solo queue with a lot of games. Solo queue is always bad because inevitably you get the one person on your team who's brand new, and at a certain point you want to help them, and at a certain point you're like, I just kind of wish this game came with a box cutter because I would my wrist right now.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's an incredibly strong statement. And before I let you make your statement, Screen, I have to take this moment and just go, thank you very much, Kaz, for subscribing to our channel. We don't beg anyone. We kind of don't even mention it occasionally, except for when someone does subscribe. So thank you very much. Much, much, much appreciated. Okay. Screen, were you going to say something?
I was just going to cut right through. I was going to ask, Pixxy, you stated that it does fall on the developers and the community team within a lot of the development companies to make that decision to foster a good community. That's something, obviously, that myself and Blank and Pseudo have seen from MMOs, and it's a consistent thing. Is this something that you see as a consistent problem within games that tend to develop into esports or are being pushed as esports? For example, your Call of Duty, like your Street Fighter, like Tekken, like LoL, that major companies don't see their communities there as communities, rather as players to provide a platform for their game.
I do. I think there's a difference between someone who develops a game for the love of the game and gaming itself, and developing a game for money. I recently had a conversation with Ben Lisnick from Star Citizen, and talking to him, you could tell like he loved Star Citizen. Like, I have never seen a man so passionate about anything, and it showed in everything he said. And those are the kind of developers that you want, because those are the kind of developers who are going to foster this good sense.
Mhm.
You don't want developers who are in it for money, who are in it for the fame. You want developers who want to create something that's going to last and that's going to continually draw people in. And you want those developers who want people to love their game as much as they do.
I wanted to add a little caveat to that. Developers are there to make money, but it's the easy money that I dislike. If you're here to make easy money, cool. Like, you know, get on the MMO treadmill, go make some crappy piece of crap. We'll all check it out for a couple months. We'll play it for two months and then throw it in the trash can. Cool. But there are some developers who, and I've noticed this recently, and I kind of got called out a couple times at PAX about this. The companies that have realized that community matter seem to be the underdogs.
They are.
Bigger companies like Blizzard or even Riot, they look at people, and it's very much, we have this problem, we have this blah, 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 because there was no forethought. There was no, like, let's take care of this and deal with it now. I went, and I'll shout out to them, the S2 Strife guys. When I went up there and talked to them, they were friendly, they were nice, they were pumped to see, they were like, dude, you streamed our game, we love you, that's awesome, the Viking King. They were generally interested in the community of people they had, because they're not looking to grow up and be ginormous. If that happens, that's nice, but they're focused to have a game that has its own niche that they can enjoy with the people that enjoy their game. That mentality I can totally get behind. I feel bad that some of the bigger developers, I really do see that they see it as, you know, this is a problem, this is an issue. And I know even Riot's made some, you know, they've tried to combat that, or like, you know, we're working on taking toxic players out, and they've got all these things. But again, it is this reactive, have to take care of something. And I'm like, I wish you treated it more of, this is our community. How do we incentivize people to play together and have, you know, like, solo queue should be an enjoyable thing to do, not a thing where you click the button, you're like, yup, hope I don't get a D-bag.
Well, here's an interesting, I'm going to bring a question in from the chat. This comes from Captain Fatty. What a great name. Captain Fatty says, if you guys think solo queue nature of games makes it toxic, are games like Blizzard's Heroes the answer? I'm going to start out by saying, you know, the game development, this is something we've discussed on the show before. You know, games such as MOBAs, they kind of foster the independent player even in a team, because you get that last hit, you get that XP boost. And yet in HOTS, it's not about that. It's about leveling the team instead of leveling the individual, although the individual kind of goes through and with it. So as to whether or not HOTS is going to be the answer, HOTS is currently in tech alpha. So we have no clue what the full ending roundabout is even going to be. We have ideas, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be the answer. But what I'd like to know from you guys is, do you really honestly, just a yes or no here, really think that the solo queue has that kind of impact? That is one of the reasons why toxicity happens, is just the solo queue.
No.
I don't think it's the sole reason.
Nothing is ever a sole reason. There's no such thing as black and white in this world.
Well,
that's
it's
why
the
they're
players
answering.
within certain solo queues that's an issue.
Well, the fundamental game design is surely going to have an impact on that. It's going to encourage people to be less than admirable to their fellow man.
Listen, I'll say it here. Didn't Riot just put in that, you know, you pick a slot and then you go in? That's good game design, and they should have done it a long time ago, and they should have done it for ranked ever ago. Solo queue, listen, I am a flippin' support. Why would I go into a queue, be ranked with a bunch of other ding-dongs based on whatever arbitrary numbers, and then be forced into another? Like, I remember having to build out all these different rune sets just in case someone decided to be a D-bag, because I run jungle, and I do it pretty well. They should have done that. That's a developer problem to fix a community issue. If you had ranked where you get to pick what you wanted to do, I'm going to play mid. Cool, I'm going to sit there for 30 minutes, but at least I'm going to play the position I want. I don't have to fight with a bunch of people and have a crappy time. It's like 2 years too late, guys. Like, to me, that's when I get frustrated with developers, because that's something they should have seen early on. But it's not just solo queue. Look at playing games with, the new Counter-Strike. You get to go into those ranked games with a bunch of random people, and hopefully get, put in with people that are the same ranking as you. And even though those are toxic, they're still not as bad as MOBAs. And I really would love to sit down with like a doctor and figure out like why that is, because I've gone and played Counter-Strike with people that were carrying me who were just like, oh, it's fine, bro, whatever, just go over here and hide in a corner, man. I'm like, sweet, thank you, carry me on your big shoulders, I'm bad. It's been 15 years since I played this crap competitively, But if I go into a silver ranked solo queue in League of Legends, some, kid is just screaming his nuts off that I missed my chance to come, do their lane and I'm failing the whole team. I don't understand. No, it's not compute.
Is that fundamentally... Go on.
Go ahead.
No, we're picking you, 60. I'm overruling Screen.
So I think some of it is actually maturity levels. If you look at the maturity levels for people who typically play FPS games, and some of this is on the shoulders of the parents who bear responsibility for their wee little
You
babbies.
missed our last week's episode, which was all about children in the community. So yes, go ahead.
MOBAs are rated pretty safely for teenagers, and as such, a lot of parents feel comfortable allowing their 12 and 13-year-old children to play MOBAs. And some of that is maturity level, because you have 16-year-old kids who have nothing better to do in summer than play video games, and they get really, really good at them, but they're 16 years old, and their personalities can be a little finicky at best.
Finicky. I like the way you phrase this. See, for me, I don't necessarily think, this is why I think when it comes to anything that comes to esports, design choice is going to have a huge impact, because how people learn how to play a game is going to have a massive impact on what type of community you foster. The actual interactions that you have with the development team is huge, because as you've pointed out, you have an impact. If someone knows they're playing with a developer because they've got a special name tag, or just happen to be well known within the community, and that person is an absolute douchebag. Sorry, but if that person is a complete and utter douchebag, I am still really blown away by that. It irritates me. But anyway, when you have a situation like that, that's going to foster even more toxicity. Maybe the difference is, you have massive people playing MOBAs. Anyone who thinks that MOBAs is not a massive game, think again. But it seems to have less of a desire for there to be a community, as long as people buy the latest skin, than, say, an MMO does. Again, outside viewer looking in. I mean, when you have things that allow you to win because you can buy that particular hero that week, and, that kind of has an impact too, doesn't it?
Well, what I actually found interesting about I know you're kind of throwing a question out, and I'm about to answer a question with a question, but
Yay!
What I found interesting was when you turned around there and said, money doesn't incentivize people to be part of a good community. Essentially, that was part of what you were saying there. And that just made me think about, we're coming from a situation, especially you and me, Pseudo, where we're part of MMO communities. So we are not part of the esports scene, and how money coming into a community in general, even an MMO community, how that actually impacts a community. Because not only do you have the esports scene, where you've got cash prizes, sponsors, trips to Iceland, let's say, I don't know, pick somewhere. Probably should have picked somewhere nicer. To go. You've also got a situation where you've got MMO communities now that are getting involved with sponsors, with the same sort of things like prize pots. You've got MMOs that are trying to push out esports scenes, and their money's starting to become involved. And that potentially is actually changing players' behaviour within a game type that encourages cooperative behaviour for people to get on. And there's some question that money may be changing the way that both people run communities and the way that people act within those communities.
I think there's definitely something to be said there. And to add to that, as a thought and a question, I'm going to probably totally screw up this pronunciation. I'm really sorry if I do. But Nirapalma World says, do you think that this toxicity stems from the fight to become the alpha of a group, and solo groups are just always new? I mean, it's almost, the way this comes across to me is, it's game design, yes, we've already discussed that, but what are your thoughts when it comes to... I talk money. I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm trying to formulate an answer to Ed's question. So
I actually want to go back and touch on the heroes that you brought up just a minute ago about group leveling.
Heroes.
So my biggest thing with group leveling is, in my point of view, you're only as strong as your weakest player.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same for any game that you play.
That's the same for any game that you play. The difference is when you're playing a MOBA where the last hit matters versus group leveling and individual leveling, it's okay to have someone who's under-leveled in a group where everyone else is potentially leveling higher so they can carry that person than when everyone is under-leveled and underfed. So actually, I think the design of the game itself lends to more toxicity than the typical MOBA.
Interesting, whereas I would actually disagree. Because it forces people to kind of think on a group level instead of an individual level. So it's not always going to be about me, which tends to be a design choice for MOBAs. Whereas in Heroes, it's an option of, hey, the group is benefiting, period. And that means that you actually get something out of it. Maybe someone doesn't know how to level fast enough. I don't know. But
sorry. Heroes makes me rage because it's such a simplistic design, and when people don't get it, I'm like, bro, you see that twinkly thing on the map? Get your butt on your mount and get there, spread out, and we're gonna take it. And then take your butt back up to your house up top and stay there until the next twinkly thing. I'm like, this game is Barney-style breakdown, don't hurt yourself, MOBA-style gaming.
Okay.
Like, it's like, let's go underneath the world, let's do this objective, go back to just hanging out and trying to, like, outplay or out-fatigue your lane until you win.
Okay, all right. Before you take it to that level and that particular expertise, let me jump on this. How many MOBAs have you played, Blank?
Imminent Crisis, Dawngate, Strife,
Thank
5,
you. Enough
6.
said. Pixxy, how many MOBAs have you played?
Han, Dota, Dota
goodness.
2, Infinite Crisis,
Enough
League of
said.
Legends.
Okay, so basically what you guys are saying are people who have MOBA expertise, which is the same thing that happens in an MMO community when you're trying to get people to do groups or anything else like that. When you have someone new coming in, they should automatically understand.
Wait, hold on. Let me pop this for you. No, I got it. I got you, Pixxy. I got you.
Heroes is a MOBA for people who are new to MOBAs, and the skill level required is much lower than that of other MOBAs.
It's not even lowered. It is legitimately go to your lane. This is like I'm gonna let Lily play. She's 3 years old. She's gonna smash kids. Go in your lane. When there's a twinkly thing, when there is an objective, everybody goes and works on that objective. Okay. And then there's a timer, so don't hurt yourself. 3 minutes, this is going to be back up. Go back to your lane. This is not difficult. This is not hard, and it's nice and shiny, and it tells you, "Boo, hey, I'm going to be showing up in about 30 seconds. Please come get ready for me." It's really not. It is absolutely for new people to MOBAs, but it is broken down to its simplest things, which I think will be kind of amusing when we actually see the teams make different team comps, when they have different setups for their talents and things like that. That sort of play could be interesting and fun to watch. But the game at its base, God bless it, is made for literally everybody. And you can have a good time because, even if, that guy up there stinks, everybody's leveling at the same pace. So if your team's getting stomped, you're getting stomped. Doesn't matter, bro. Just bend over. It's coming.
Okay, well, see,
Exactly.
basically, I am a MOBA noob, and I've just got my hands on HOTS, so I'll be streaming it very soon. So I'll be able to come in, and then I will come back on a Campfire. We'll have you back, Pixxy, and I'll be like, y'all were wrong, or y'all were right. Either way you look at it, I will let you know from that perspective, and I'll let you know my thoughts on it, because barrier to entry is one of the things that can create toxicity in a community. When that barrier to entry into a community is set so bloody high, getting into a community can be incredibly difficult.
We got two different things here, sweetie. Because
I'm
you have
trying to bring it
barrier
back.
to entry. Barrier to entry, and I almost want to get back to dollar bills,
Well, that
but
goes-
barrier to entry and skill ceiling are two separate things.
They are too. They are, but
Absolutely.
see, I'm not talking about skills here.
To get into the game in Heroes of the Storm, anybody can log in, walk to the front, level with their homie team, and see Blinky's stuff. In a game like League of
need
Legends,
to just quickly
or
interrupt you really,
Dota
really, really
2,
quick. My dog is in trouble. I need to go save her. So you guys continue talking. I will be right back.
We got you. I'm gonna pretend like you're still there though. In a game like League of Legends or Dota
This is
2,
what she has to do to get away from this. You're
it's
ripping her
different.
off stream.
Yeah, it's fine. The dog's gonna go outside.
The dog clearly had too high a barrier for entry.
Well, I did want to go. I wanted to go back to money real quick, because we were talking about it being involved in esports and stuff like that, and you were talking about MMOs. I find it interesting, and I will make the statement that in MMOs there have been larger, very well established who've been sponsored by, let's say, for instance, by Razer. The difference, and I want to say this, normally development companies for MMOs take care of guild leaders and community members and things like that. They send them out, they do meetups, things like that. When it comes to these esports, these 5-man teams, these things like that, the companies don't really take care of them. It's the sponsors, but they have to make it to that level first. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas in MMOs, it's almost like it's a shift, because it's not the same. And I've experienced that, for a very long time now. Yeah, cool. The Riot doesn't care who you are, but if you're on the Curse team and you've worked your butt off and you got there, then your sponsors are sending you to these sort of things, not the development company. MMOs, it's very different, because they understand that these communities will carry them.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, does that show where the to some extent where I think you were saying, like, these communities will carry the MMO, where the power, they almost as if the MMO companies or companies that aren't producing these these games that are pulling in huge numbers in a competitive scene, they understand that the power doesn't just lie with the players, and somewhere along the line, players that have bought in, or to some extent, some of the players that buy in to the esports scene, are engaging in that game to an extent that they are almost forgetting that the power lies with the community and not with the developer, and that they're the one paying the wage for the developer. And rather, like an MMO community, say for example, just for talking's sake, an MMO developer either doesn't develop the type of game that we want to play, or they really tick us off, we can go, I'm taking a website with a guild and a community with 500 people. We're going to your competitor right now. And that doesn't tend to happen with esports. People tend to give their power over to the developer rather than not realize that they can walk away with their money.
Slowly. It's changing, Ed. It's very slowly right now, because it's something that I noticed at PAX East this year. Infinite Crisis was there. They were doing a whole tournament with shoutcasters. They drew a bunch of people in there. MMOs, people know we can walk away. I mean, we've all, and that's why Blizzard's where it's at. We're like, yo, bro, we're done. Here's a middle finger. People have bounced and left. There are other things out there. The MMO treadmill being the disgusting thing it is. MOBAs, that genre, people are realizing, you know what, bro? if you don't take care of us, we will go find some other like thing to play, whether it's Strife, whether it's Dawngate, you know, and we'll go there and we'll take not just our 5 people, but we'll take our stream viewers, we'll take our communities, because they weren't that organized. Again, in the next year or so, I really do expect to see them go, oh, crap, not only are we losing viewers and this, but we're losing money because we're not taking care of these people. And when they start getting, you know, hit in the pocketbook, that's normally when those developers are like, oh, wait, what's going on? So,
right. I'm now going
Is that a proponent of bad community? Sorry.
No.
I was just going to say, is that a proponent of having good community management to, rather than front-loading players, actually having, like Pixxy was saying before, a good plan to manage your game community, which is something that's a consistent thing within, like we're doing very much comparison at MMO and eSports MOBAs, but taking that example where you got a lot of eSports that have front-loaded, a lot of MOBAs that have front-loaded a lot of players with very little plan, whereas a community management team is pretty much always a staple and always on hand. Batiga being a good example, who have got a couple of really seasoned pro community managers. All we've seen is a couple of screenshots and a soundtrack. So far, the game's not even done, but they've already got that in place, and that's something that might be considered relatively unusual with a MOBA game that just wants to get people through the door.
what I will say is we're going to see MOBAs grow because they're still in their infancy, and what I'm really expecting is less of community management as a mistake, as a we have to deal with this, and developers saying communities are what drive viewership on Twitch. They bring us revenue, because for so long developers were like, marketing is all that matters. Community managers, Donna Pryor, Scooter, all these other folks that have been around, Troy, they've been proponents of community management in their own ways. But literally anybody could be a community manager. For the last couple of years, 10 years, you could be a guy who used to be a teacher, be a community manager at a development company. And they were understated. Some of them were terrible. We all have seen them. Nowadays, I believe we're going to start seeing folks be like, okay, marketing is this big thing and getting our money is important, but if we don't have a handle on community, we're screwing over marketing, because we've got people out there that used to be our friends who are now talking trash about us over with our competitors. If you foster the community, it also brings in what you're looking for as a developer, which is your dollar bills to pay the electricity to keep the service going.
I'm going to throw in a question that came in from Gazimov, who in the previous subsection that you guys were discussing says, mind share greater than money? Question mark.
Say what?
Mind share is greater than money. He brought it up when you guys were talking about something in particular. I'm not exactly certain what it was.
I'm going to have to say what?
It's consumer awareness and popularity type stuff. I think he's talking about, he's basically saying that the development of consumer awareness and understanding the people that you're bringing into the game is more important than the bottom line dollar, because one will tend to meet the other. So if you understand the people that you are bringing into the game, you want to bring into the game, the money will make itself to some extent.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we can all agree in at least our opinion on that. I would honestly put the community is always going to be greater than money, because without the community, you have no money.
Well,
and now guys can tell me if I actually interpreted that properly or not, or if he needs to explain it.
Do let us know, Gazzy.
I would definitely say that's a big deal. Marketing still needs to do its job. I just think that marketing community, along with PR, need to work better in all companies, because I can tell you it's one of the most frustrating things from community side to work with somebody who does marketing. Let's say in the same organization. Let's say me and you, Ed, we're in the same organization. I do community, you do the PR marketing stuff. I'm talking to one section, you're talking to the other. We're getting two different things. It's so frustrating because they all have, their goals, what they're trying to achieve. Community is trying to achieve a fostered community. In that, however, marketing needs to realize, and hopefully, some of these producers higher up can, as the executive producers can understand, the community will be your diehards. They do your stuff on Twitch and YouTube and things like that. But, you know, of course, your marketing is your big blast of go check us out, all the ads and stuff like that. If there are other people to engage them once they got hit with that initial, I should check this out, you will retain them. And retaining people to play your game and engagement is worth more than $1 itself. So I hope I really am hoping in the next couple of years we see Motiga's smashing it already. Having Troy, they have a little dinosaur, and people are like, dude, it doesn't matter, man. Let's go hang out on IRC chat and talk to the community people. That right there will make them successful already. And they got nothing. We got a couple screenshots.
Yes. So Gazi adds, it was talking about streamers walking, taking the audience with them, going elsewhere into a different game. And then he also adds, so for a dev, having an audience of big streamers playing their game is more important than people, say, buying skins, runes, etc.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm sure Pixxy would tell you, too,
because
for
those
Twitch.
streamers bring in people who pay for those things.
Yeah.
Now, see,
I think we should make that a thing. We should actually have a show about that.
I was just about to say, you know, when it comes to, we have many sources available to us for streaming now, Twitch being one of them. And honestly, where does the line get drawn for that kind of stuff? And we can go into a huge amount just about what streamers can bring to communities. And we probably will. And in all honesty, I'm going to have to say, guys, I want to keep going, but we're at a time thing here. So I'm going to go ahead and call an end to that conversation with my, I don't know, my medieval...
Here you go. You can borrow my axe. There you go, sweetie.
My medieval alcoholic Mandarin beverage.
Under my axe.
There we go. Sorry. And I'm going to pour myself a drink while we go into the very next part of our show, which is where we get a chance to have our guest basically tell us stuff. Tell us about websites or things that we should be aware of. You know, who are the trailblazers? You can obviously, and I hope you do, pimp Ladies of the Round Table.
So obviously I'm going to pimp Ladies of the Round Table, ladiesoftheroundtable.net. We're a group of a bunch of ladies, and we're working on scholarships for STEM education. And, you know, it's just, we're all about not only supporting women in gaming, but also creating safe environments for all gamers. One of our show hosts has a daughter, and as you guys know, women face their own special brand of trolling on the interwebs. It happens.
Girls play games?
Girls don't exist on the internet. Girls don't exist on the internet.
Wait, are you Caseytron? I think I've seen your stream before. You're Caseytron, right? Isn't that who you are? Sorry, I'm done.
Do you like your life? Like, do you like being able to breathe? Because I can totally reach through my Ethernet cable and strangle you.
You went from this to that.
I was gonna say, wait. Are you telling me that the ability to strangle somebody through the internet is now mind compatible, and we're actually able to do so? Why do I not have the code for this? Not like I would do that. I love people.
And then obviously I want to talk about OperationSupplyDrop.org. It's a great charity that brings games to troops. Which is a huge deal because anybody who likes to game knows what it's like to go without games, and it's awful, and it kind of makes you hate every day of your life.
Right. So, Screen, you want to do me a favor and drop those lovely bits of links inside to the chat for everybody? And I'm going to add something. Because we do have another part of our show, which is about Kumbaya, which is the very last bit of the core segment of our show, where we actually share events that are going on in communities. And we are massively all about charity events. So if you know of charity events that are going on in the gaming arena, let us know so we can help spread the word. And on top of mentioning Operation Supply Drop, Blank, I'm going to pass it over to you because you couldn't possibly know of anything going on with Operation Supply Drop, right?
These guys, I talked to them over email, and they've heard this a million times. I'm like, where were you when I was deployed, bro? Like, I got packages of, Gatorade. Y'all are sending people video games? This is some BS. I mean, this is awesome. That's BS. OperationSupplyDrop.org/team/Viking Nation. I'm going to drop this for you folks right here. We smashed our first goal of $1,000. We're going to keep pushing. It's really cool. Along with sending care packages overseas, they also do troops that are in hospitals. That also sucks to go from wherever to back home and this transition. You got something to do other than pick your nose or think about stuff you probably don't want to think about. That's pretty BA, if you ask me. So you should definitely be checking them out. I will be streaming on Sunday for 24 hours. I've already lined up the chiropractor. I've already lined up the physical therapist. I will be cooking my food, and we're going to play random games. I'll bring the dress, the lipstick. Y'all donate for it. Doesn't matter. It's going to the troops. Don't care. Bring your dollar bills. You want me dancing to Genuine's Pony? You better bring those 20s because you got to make it rain for the troops, and we'll make this happen. So.
And yes, I love how it's all about the money, except in our case, it's not about what money does to the community. It's what we can do with money for the charities, which impact more than just the gaming community. So, yeah, congratulations. A fantastic show. Yes, yes. Everyone
Yes.
wearing awesome hats. I'm still enamored by Screen's little... just... woo. So yes, what we're going to do now, before I take us off and say goodbye, is I want to just go over quickly what's coming up on MMO Buff. Pixxy, we will have you back, yes?
Yes.
You will be back.
Yes.
And you're all about getting into debates, right?
Yes.
I like this. So we have someone who will be coming back on our show, hopefully soonish. But yes, so tomorrow, the Blizzard forecast. Mr. Blankspace is in it.
That's me.
So we've got on the Blizzard forecast, let's see if I can get everybody. We have Mizpa, we have Parv from Yogscast, we have Real Blankspace from the Viking Nation, we have Hearth Trollden, who is a Hearth Twitch streamer, who also does amazing YouTube videos. If you haven't seen them, you really need to check them out. We have myself and Dr. Marshmallows. 6 hosts, 1 show, all about Blizzard, all about the Blizzard IPs, covering everything from HOTS to Hearthstone to Warlords of Draenor to Diablo 3 to StarCraft. Cha-ching! I got it in there. Then Thursday, not this week, but starting next week, we have a new show coming called The Data Mine. Time's going to be different. It's actually going to be at 1 p.m. BST for a reason. And we will have a developer and myself talking about developing games from the other side of the table. So it's not about the communities now. It's about what the developers have to do to develop a game. And one of our first guests is going to be, I believe, the president from Yuki. So that'll be a fun one. Friday, we've got Cosmotronic, all about WildStar. We're not getting into a WildStar debate right now. Just know it's about WildStar. Yay! And then next Monday, it's Mizpa and myself back again, duking it out. And then next week, who is our guest, Screen?
Our guest is a gentleman from a new WildStar guild called Cake or Death. He's one of the co-leaders of it. Rather than something this week where we have a nice little debate amongst ourselves around a round table or a square hole, I don't know, or we grill our guest on the campfire, we are going to get grilled by our guests. So they're going to ask us about our experiences in building communities directly, and they're going to pull some answers out, or some teeth, or some fingernails.
Bring it.
I am all for it. Bring on the bad questions. Bring on the good questions. Just bring them on. I was going to say, don't bring the Batman underwear as a reference to what Pixxy said earlier today, but I didn't think the leap of... Blank, put your D away. You still have the letter on your desk, don't you? Yep. Knew it. Knew it. I tried to get in there before he did it, but nope. And on that note, again, if you guys really like what we're doing here, it makes a difference which show you support or if you support them all. Please spread the word. Let everybody know so that we can, just get in touch with more people. And again, that's pretty much all we ask. For those of you who have been really awesome and have been subscribing to Anook and following us on Twitter, Facebook, following us on YouTube, etc. You guys are amazing. And of course, for those few of you who have actually subscribed, all I can say is thank you. Hey, you get a huge hug from me when I see you at a convention or at a party or something. When I see you, you get a huge hug. So It'll be Hugzilla at that point in time. My Zilla stature will change. So that basically leaves me with saying goodbye to everyone. So Pixxy, go ahead and say bye-byes.
Bye, guys.
Oh, darn it. Cthulhu is upstairs.
Bat Domo. Bat Domo. Okay, I'm done now.
Go ahead and say bye-byes. Green.
Bob, was that me or was
Yes,
that you? Just
Screen.
having a fit?
No, goodbye.
What?
Say bye-bye, Screen.
Nah. Yes, bye-bye.
Go ahead and say bye-bye, Blank.
Bye-bye.
And this
Oh my
is...
god, you corporate sellout.
I didn't do this.
Look
Someone
at the
made
brand.
that.
I've got the brand.
I didn't make that. Someone sent it to me.
Oh, take your
It's all
branded
about the money.
trinket.
It's all about the money.
Money. No. Sorry.
If you don't want to be singing in a quick bite, don't sing.
I don't dance when I hit record.
Yeah,
That was a different night.
that was a totally different night, all for the for the children's. But anyway,
Although I might have left record on after Wildstar when he was singing on stream. I
Really?
might have it on my hard drive. Yeah.
you might have to pass it over. We might have to do something about this. But on that note, I want to just thank all of you guys. And again, for you guys who are watching, the questions you've brought in, the thoughts that you have made, the things that you have shared with us, all I can say is thank you so much. Hearts to you from here at MMO Buff Studios. And we'll see you next time. Greetings, everyone. Thanks for watching the full episode of the Campfire, episode 19. It's all about the money with our special guest Pixxy from Ladies of the Round Table. If you have any comments or anything you would like us to know about, please do leave them in the box below. And of course, if you do like this content, please click like, share, and subscribe. Speak with you soon. Toodle pip.